Brother.
Oh, yeah.
Brother.
Oh, it is Friday, September 2nd. It is another episode of the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It is our Impact at Power Hour. I'm Ryan.
I'm Angelo.
And yeah, Angelo, this might be the final time this week that you can say that you're the champ still.
Good point.
Yeah.
Those predictions got to come out soon, and I will probably lose.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many matches for All Out.
Wow, there is a lot going on for All Out.
Yeah, so it's definitely gonna be a tough cookie, I think, for people.
So I guess staying on the AEW topic, you probably touched on it last week, right? That Morrissey showed up.
No, I didn't talk about Morrissey.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah, I mean, just from a Impact's point of view, I mean, that's pretty exciting to see. So W. Morrissey showed up last week to AEW. What was he like? Kind of managed by Stokely there, or?
I don't even remember because I didn't watch AEW last week.
Yeah, I only saw the highlights of it, but either way, like the rumor was that he would go back to WWE. He seemed like a good fit. He's a big, sweaty man, very talented man. But like you figured WWE would have been, knocking at his door, seeing how good he was in Impact. But it's very, very surprising that it was AEW the whole time. Maybe not the whole time, but AEW is now swooped in to take on W. Morrissey. And now I think he left Impact in a pretty good role.
Yeah.
So he must be going to AEW to have a prominent role as well, I would imagine. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd assume that they've got big things planned for him. He's a big man.
Yeah.
Stokely seems like somebody who's building up a faction of really underrated guys. He's got Ethan Page with him. He's got the Gun Club. He's got Lee Moriarty. He's now got W. Morrissey.
Oh, yeah,
he's got the baddies. He's got Jade. So yeah, I think he's got a lot under his plate right now to be managing.
Sounds like it. My goodness, but yeah, that's pretty cool. So
yeah, hoping for the best. I also was very shocked that he showed up, just because I assumed he was going to WWE. Everybody was reporting that WWE was super high on him. That they had reached out to him about contracts and stuff. And we hadn't heard from him in a while. Like, I was just assuming that he was going to show up sooner rather than later. And then all these people started getting brought back into the fold in WWE. And I figured, okay, well, they're probably not going to, they want the big name people first to show up. And then,
of course.
But yeah, he's there. I'm interested to see what they do with him. If it's going to be an AEW thing, if it's going to be a Ring of Honor thing, if it's going to be a bit of both. But yeah, I'm excited.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So the other, I guess, Impact news is like the Lady Frost stuff, but I really don't want to talk about it too long because, again, we never thought her impact was that great. But it seems like the story of it is that she was on a pay-per appearance, but she wanted more flexibility. And as one person on Reddit I read put it very lightly, you usually want more flexibility if other companies want to, hire you. And that wasn't the case for Lady Frost because WWE already said no to her, and she basically maxed out at AEW Dark.
Yeah.
So far, so yeah, I won't really comment further. She doesn't really move the needle in my eyes if you've been listening.
Yeah.
So I thought Impact would have been the fine home for her to hone her craft. But if she's being, I don't know, Impact could have messed up. She could have messed up. I don't know the story totally. I wasn't there, so I shouldn't speculate further. But that's the news on Lady Frost.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I saw that it sounded a little messy, like she had like a medical situation, that she had to like miss a taping or two. And she was told by somebody in management, at least is what she said, to Fightful, that they were going to cover her costs. And once she got the bill for it and everything, she went to Impact and was like, hey, this is what it ended up costing me. And they were like, all right, that's cool. But like, you've got to pay for it. Like, we're not paying for it. Also, why'd you miss a taping? So it seemed like there was some miscommunication or of some sort. She got upset about. Who knows? Impact hasn't said anything about it. But yeah, I guess there's one other last piece of news for Impact, and that is Joe Doring has announced that he is stepping away from in-ring competition because his cancer has returned. And he told Scott and everybody they need to take some time away to deal with it. And that was kind of addressed this week on TV as well.
Yes. So
and I think this was a good way to send it off. Didn't obviously he's in the top heel faction, so it'd be weird to go out in like the middle of the ring, Roman Reigns style, and be like, "Hey guys, I've got cancer. I've got to take some time off." When he was a babyface, so I think this is the best way to do it.
not
gotta hope
everyone
for the best.
wants. Yeah, I mean, he maybe doesn't even want to personally like go out there and tell the world in that sense. Like, you don't have to do that. I think the way Roman Reigns did it, it's hard to compare these types of situations.
That's fair.
For everyone, so I don't even want to do that. But yeah, for Joe Doring, I mean, yeah, I hope the best for him going forward. If there's a place for him in Impact when he wants to when he's able to come back, so everyone's rooting for him.
Yeah. And I mean, he is an older guy, so who knows how much time left in the ring he had to begin with. But even if he just like came back as like a manager or like an enforcer type character for a bit in Impact, if he wants to when he comes,
the door's definitely going to be open. They're going to find a spot for him, even if it's just a road agent or something. I'm sure he'll have a job available when he's ready.
I do have to say, in the Violent by Design segment, which we'll get to, I think that was the only time we've ever heard Joe Doring actually talk instead of just grunts.
Yeah, it was 2 words, but I don't disagree.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's more words than has ever been said by the man on TV.
Yeah, because that whole like number 1 contender time, he didn't talk.
Yeah, no, it was just Deonna.
Yeah. So that's a good point, but. Yeah. All right. We had a BTI today, and we had Chris Bay and Ace Austin representing Bullet Club facing 2 local talents.
Yeah.
And it didn't go well for the local talent.
No, it did not. I just want to say I like the idea of bringing in local talent for this. I've never heard of either of the guys, but they've got a unique look. One guy looks like a cross between an MMA fighter and a wrestler. I guess that was JD Griffey. It was just very odd that one has like a normal name and then the other one is just Exodus.
Right.
But yeah, they got a Titantron, everything. Maybe they're like OVW people. I don't know.
Yeah, but either way, it was more of like a showcase versus just like a squash match.
They got a lot of time.
So, and that's how BTI should be used. It shouldn't be used for Alicia Edwards matches. It should be used for showcasing like good talent. And even if they're not, known on TV, it's just showcasing talent. And that's what they did today. And Ace Austin, Chris Bay, obviously they would get the win because they're the ones that have storylines in play. But they're also excellent talents that they should showcase more and more often.
Yeah, I do want to say really cool finishing spots here. We had Ace Austin in the corner as Chris Bay ran at him and did the art of finesse that was assisted by Ace Austin, which looked real cool. And then Ace Austin hit the fold. So both finishers used cool spot. And we'd understand a little bit more later in the show why these guys got this, why Ace and Bay were kind of featured here because they've got a match they've got to warm up for. But yeah, moving on, we've got our main show starts off with a video package, and the video package, as always, normally is like what happened last week in the big spots. But we also got an additional part where it was like a highlight of Mickie James's like last run in Impact with her versus Deonna, her versus Tasha, her and Chelsea's stuff, and Yeah, this was leading up to, her big announcement that she was going to make later on in the show. But we start off the show with the Kingdom, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett versus the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, Doc Gallows.
Yep. So the Kingdom have Maria walk them out,
Yep.
basically to the front ramp, but then she can't be there because that was the stipulation last week that
Yes.
Carl Anderson won his match against Bennett. Maria couldn't be there, so it's supposed to be a nice, clean match featuring some people from Honor No More. We haven't really seen that very often, right? So
yeah. I thought this was a very interesting way to do this match. I think normally when you've got the Good Brothers in, especially with the height advantage or the size advantage that Gallows has, normally you have Gallows kind of dominate for a little bit, take control early on, and then give it to Carl Anderson to kind of finish off the everything. But the Kingdom took it to him right away. And their thing was they were going to isolate Carl Anderson and prevent Gallows from being able to get in the match as long as possible. And I thought that worked well. It's a different way for a Bullet Club match to go, it felt like, or a Good Brothers match in general. Commentary pointed out that the Good Brothers are currently one of the top 5 tag teams in Impact history for the most title defenses of all time.
that's crazy. I mean, considering,
they've only been in the company for 2 years.
Yeah, but I guess 2 years, and they were pretty much been the face of the tag team division, whether they were holding the belts or not. So yeah, that makes sense. It is crazy to consider, but yeah. Thinking back in historical senses, the tag titles were usually flipping like hot potatoes, especially when Team 3D was just trying to get their numbers up, how many tag teams they had. So it was real hot potato city over there.
Yeah. Gallows would eventually try to get in. He kept on selling, like his shoulder was hurting again. Even though he said last week that he was perfectly fine and cleared by the doctors and everything, apparently he came back. Kingdom took control. We had Mike Bennett towards the end of this match throw Gallows into the steel ring steps. This distracted Carl Anderson, which allowed Bennett to attack Carl Anderson while he was on the top rope. And this would set up the finish. They would hit the Proton Pack, and the Kingdom are the new champions. The new tag team champions. Title change on TV to open the show.
Yeah, a little surprising, I would say.
Yeah, I think this goes on the whole thing. We knew Gallows and Anderson's contracts were up, and we knew that they were going to New Japan for at least the next month, basically.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to be at Victory Road, and they might not be at Bound for Glory. So it'd be weird for them not to have those titles for a bit on TV. So give it to Kingdom. I'm a bit surprised that there was no interference from Honor No More on this show or on this match.
It was a fairly clean win, I would say. Yeah.
Also, they pinned Carl Anderson, who again they've acknowledged that he is the never open weight champion and that he's doing he's representing New Japan with it. So they've highlighted the Kingdom and the Good Brothers feuds in New Japan. Maybe this leads to something further down the line. Who knows? But very good match to start off the show, I thought.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And then the next backstage segment kind of, I guess, drills the point in of the importance of this win for the Kingdom and for Honor No More.
Yeah, so they go backstage. They celebrate with the rest of Honor No More. Eddie talks about how this isn't going to be the only title that they win in the next coming days and weeks, that he's going to beat Josh. But then Kenny King talks and says he's got a title match tonight with Mike Bailey for the X Division title. He's going to become a 3-time champ. And Maria says that she's not banned from that match, so she's going to help make sure that he brings some more gold back to Honor No More. Eddie, again, randomly gets mad at PCO and says that, PCO, I still don't know if I can trust you. Vincent says, just, he's been with us forever. He hasn't done anything to hurt us. Just let me make sure that everything works. If he's got issues, he'll tell me, things like that. Yeah. We also got a Killer Kelly vignette talking about how she likes watching people, and she really has liked watching Tasha Steelz the last few weeks, because now she knows what makes her tick and what her weaknesses are, and that she is coming for her. Yeah. After this, we get Kenny King versus Speedball Mike Bailey for the X Division titles.
They talked up the commentary in this match. I didn't realize he beat RVD for the X Division title before.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good stat.
Yeah, this was not a match that was like announced previously, so
right.
Cool stuff here. Again, I didn't know how many times he'd won the title in the past. I didn't know. I knew he was a former X Division champion, just didn't know.
Yeah, I guess that was like
my
point earlier in the year when I was harping on, like, you're using Kenny King as just like, almost enhancement talent as part of Honor No More. He's so much better than that. And past few months now, he's been put into a more prominent role as Honor No More has really kind of rounded themselves out. So,
yeah. So this match, I thought was really, really strong. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Mike Bailey is just fantastic. Kenny King, when he is given the opportunity to have a match, it always seems like he shines. And these two really worked well together. There's some cool spots here. Mike Bailey does those like fast kicks that he does to like the chest and chin of his opponents, and instead of doing it in the ring, he did it on the at ringside, and he went like the entire length of one of the sides, which was pretty cool. To get out of this and try to get control, Kenny King grabbed Mike Bailey and just threw him right into the apron, which gotta hurt.
Yeah.
Maria was at ringside, so she did constantly try to.
But yeah, you're right. Yeah. That was a hard fall on that apron.
Yeah. Mike Bailey looked like he was gonna go for the win, for Ultimate Weapon at one point, and as he did his like the first flip for it, he just gets a knee right to the jaw by Kenny King, which looked absolutely brutal. Kenny King ends up kicking the ref toward at the end of this, what looked like it was going to be the ending. He goes and just nails the ref with a kick. And then Mike Bailey goes up to the top rope. And as he goes for Ultimate Weapon again, this time Kenny King low blows him, and then pins Mike Bailey, but there's no ref to count it. So Maria counts it, and then another ref comes out finally. They fight for a little bit more. Mike Bailey goes for his rebound off of the ropes, but Kenny King rolls him up, and Maria pulls on Kenny King to give him more traction, and Kenny King keeps him down for a 3 count, and it looks like Kenny King had just won the match, but the original ref had gotten up and saw all this. So as Honor No More,
they showed the replay for this, and the ref is literally like standing there just watching it all happen. Like, you think as a ref you could just, maybe tell Maria to not do that or something. I don't know, like, involve yourself as a ref. But he just watched it all, let the other ref ring the bell, let Honor No More come down there, and then he gets in the ring and argues it. But like, he was standing, not selling an injury, watching it all happen.
Yep. Yeah, this looks silly as hell.
Yeah.
So all of Honor No More get in the ring celebrating. The two refs talk, and the original ref says that Maria had interfered, so we've got to keep the match going. And so they also make the announcement that all of Honor No More is banned from ringside. So Takes a while for everybody to leave. The second ref leaves as well at this point. And
Kenny
then
King kind of at the end there is like, I got it. I got this, guys. That costs him though, because he turns around and there's Mike Bailey falling onto him from outside the ring. So
yeah, this wouldn't last too much longer though. Mike Bailey would again go for Ultimate Weapon, doesn't get it, but does end up picking up the win via roll up.
Yeah, gotta love the roll up.
Yeah, this is definitely the toughest challenge it seems that Mike Bailey's had on this run. And I expect them to run this back.
Maybe
I think Victory Road. This is a matchup you could do.
That would be fair. Yeah, deserves that chance.
Yeah, because I mean, he did get a visual pinfall. He did.
I'm sure they're gonna go argue with Scott D'Amore next week about that.
Yeah. And I'm sure, considering the character that they have of Mike Bailey as like somebody who accepts all challenges, he'll accept it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Even if it's to the detriment of him. I wouldn't be shocked if Kenny King, it ends up beating Mike Bailey here, just as like a shock win, and to try to do this idea of at Bound for Glory, maybe Eddie does pick up the win, at least put in the minds of people that All of Honor No More could have all the titles. Would be interesting.
That's the idea. Like, they can milk that for the next couple weeks on TV. That like we're about to have all three titles, even if they won't, But
right,
it's definitely a good concept.
Yeah. After this, we would get Brian Myers backstage with Scott, demanding that Scott get his title back from Bhupinder. Scott says that, you're the most professional wrestler. You shouldn't be like complaining and whining about it. You should go and do it like a man.
Scott's like, since we've been watching, Scott's like, that's his classic, thing he does here is he always like flips the table on the wrestler that's complaining.
Yes.
And, no, like Deonna, no. Why are you doing this? You're the best women's wrestler. So here he is with Brian Myers. You're the most professional wrestler. You shouldn't be coming here saying you don't have your title. You're professional. You should be able to handle this.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you're right. And then turns around and gets sucker punched by Bhupinder.
Yep. So this feud will continue after this. Jessica,
but it looks like he got his belt back at least.
He did. He did get his belt back. After this, Jessica, Rosemary, and Taya are at a bar that Jessica has made drinks for them. And Jessica says that, it was a success. My debut was a success. I've signed with the company now. Again, acting like she wasn't already signed, like as Havoc. And she says that now that I've got my first win under my belt, now I think we should take it to Deonna and Chelsea. And I heard Deonna's got a match tonight, so let's go in there and attack her during it. And Rosemary says, no, that's not how. That's not what we're gonna do. Like, you might have gotten a win, but you're still a distraction to me and Taya when we have matches. So make sure that you get things under control. We've still got a lot of learning with you and teaching you. And Taya says, next week I've got a match against Chelsea, so let's do a trial run of her at ringside and see if she won't be a distraction then. Then we get our Impact flashback moment of the week, which is Sami Callihan beating Brian Cage for the world title inside a steel cage. Yeah.
My rage.
Oh,
Brian Cage.
Absolutely. It's the most TV time Brian Cage has had in quite some time.
Oop.
After this, we go backstage, and I thought, oh, maybe this is gonna play like we're gonna transition, and like Sami is gonna be doing something, or we're gonna get like something regarding the Moose Macklin stuff. And no, it's Aussie Open come out, and they announced that they're they're here to get some more tag titles, get some more gold, and show that they're the best tag team on the planet. And that next week they're going to be facing off against Ace Austin and Chris Bay. And that they've shared locker rooms with Bullet Club all over the world. So it's not new to them. They know how to deal with them. And that they're going to show that they are the best in the world. And then all of a sudden you start hearing some talking, some yelling, and Aussie Open would go away. And Gia leads the camera crew backstage. And Macklin and Moose are yelling at each other again about how this hasn't been going to plan. That they don't want to, Moose doesn't want to do a barbed wire mayhem match. He just wants to destroy Sammy. He didn't want a 3-way match. Macklin says, well, it's what we've got now. And Moose walks by Gia. Gia asks for him to tell him what's going on. He just blows her off. Yeah.
I don't know about you. I'm not so sold on this getting so extended out anymore.
Yeah, no. This is going a little too long for me.
Yeah, because it's weird. Like now you're gonna have two people that want to beat up Sami Callihan, and they're gonna be in a triple threat.
Yeah,
and with like no title implications. Like, yeah, sure. Like if there was a number one contendership on the line, then you could see Steve and Moose turning on each other, no problem. But like here, it doesn't logistically make sense to me at this point. Like why don't they just beat Sammy and who cares who gets the pin? I don't know. And I think it's like stifling the momentum Steve Macklin had in April and May in this year. I get there's no really spot for him to be a number one contender while Eddie Edwards is currently doing that, but like he had some serious momentum going into middle of the year, and now it's kind of getting paused. It's not like going down necessarily; it's just getting paused. He's not the main part of the storyline. He's just there.
Yeah, it feels more like the main storyline is still Moose and Sammy, and Macklin's just like has been randomly inserted into here very messily.
Yeah, like as the mercenary, I get that.
Yeah,
there was he just felt like he was on a upward trajectory, and it's just kind of stagnated because he's in the middle of this feud, which it's hard to say where it goes.
Yeah, and I think this is the one downfall of Impact is the fact that there isn't that mid card title that you could have.
Yeah, like the X Division belt, so it's
and then you've got the digital media title, which you're not going to throw on Macklin.
That's a downgrade.
Yeah. So definitely this would be a good feud for like a mid card belt. And it would get like some more stakes here that would like actually make it make
the
sense.
Triple threat make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I'm 100% on board with you that I do feel like this has paused Macklin's momentum. After this, we've got the Violent by Design segment. Eric Young says, Joe has to go. He's got his own battles that he has to face. He wants to do them on his own, and I respect it. And Joe Doring gives everybody a fist bump. He does this little like pose and a grunt. And
the 2 words, and that's the sign off. Yeah.
Yep. And then Eric Young goes to leave, and Diener says, "What? And you're going too?" And Eric says, yes, I am leaving. It's up to you on if you want to follow." And yeah, I'm assuming this is just Eric Young trying to he's gonna evolve again, maybe. Change it up a little bit on what Violent by Design does.
Yeah, I mean they're kind of forced to with Joe Doring.
Yeah.
So, you could just run it with him and Diener and kind of do the same thing you've been doing, but without the big guy there. So that might be a little boring. So it could be an interesting dynamic of like Cody Diener's reworking his way in, or he just like falls out altogether. I think it's it's a better move to kind of just break it up rather than just try to continue.
Yeah. After this, we get our Mickie James segment. She comes out and She says, this is gonna be. I promised myself I wasn't gonna get emotional tonight, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Um, she talks about how the last time she was in this building is when she won her last knockout championship against Deonna in the street fight, or not the street fight, Texas death match. Talked about how she's always said that the moment that she can't hang with the new crop of people, that she'd hang up the boots. And over the last few months, she lost to Tasha, she lost her rematch, she lost her somebody who she thought was going to be her best friend in Chelsea Green, who she was mentoring and teaching the ropes of wrestling. Which again, me and you have talked about this numerous times. Chelsea isn't somebody that you need to like mentor. She's in her 30s. Like she's been wrestling for quite some time. It's not like some up and comer that you're like, oh, let me mentor you. No,
Yeah.
this is a former knockouts champion.
Yeah, that was weird. Whatever.
Yeah. And Mickie says that like she was down. She went home. She took the longest gap she's ever taken away from wrestling. And she thought about it. She talked with her husband. She talked with her kid, and she's decided that she's coming back and she wants to earn a title shot the right way. And she says that she wants to go through the entire Knockouts locker room to get a shot at whoever will be the Knockouts champion when that happens. But if she loses any match, that will be the end of her. She will retire. And yeah.
So basically, Mickie James is going to win a world title this year.
Yeah. or next year. It depends because, there's a lot of knockouts.
Yeah, I guess we've seen how long it takes Masha to.
She's getting
jobbers to.
Yeah, she's got to face Alicia. She's got to face Savannah Evans. Technically, since Lady Frost is still employed, she's got to go through Lady Frost.
Get out of here.
She's got to face Giselle. Yeah, there's everybody.
If they do Mickie James versus Alicia Edwards, I'm not gonna watch that episode.
That's a BTI match.
Oh yeah. Well, Mickie James isn't coming back for PTI matches. I mean, it is what it is. But
no, it's just an 18 versus 1 match. It's all the knockouts versus Mickie James, and it's an elimination match, and Mickie James pins all of them.
Oh yeah, that's a good look,
including Killer Kelly and Masha.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's gonna happen. So.
Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting because I mean, there's a lot of people that you can look at if she is going to actually go through everybody in the women's locker room. There's a lot of people that you could say definitely present challenges and that I don't see her beating.
I mean, right now it's Killer Kelly and Masha. I don't see beating them anytime soon. It might take a while, like you said. It might. She might, kind of get into a feud or something to kind of stagnate her ascension to the top.
Yeah, I also don't see
know that she's not in the Bound for Glory match. It's being decided later in the episode. So
right, yeah. And I also don't see her beating Deonna or Chelsea because it would look weird if you just randomly threw her against the tag champions.
I mean, she'll beat Chelsea. She could.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense with her holding the titles. I get what you're saying there. But
yeah. It would also be weird if she beat Deonna because that would be that Deonna has never beaten Mickie in 3 or 4 attempts.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't take her word verbatim. But I mean, I'm for it. Her kind of reincarnation here. This is her last
rodeo.
Put it. Yeehaw to that. Is that going to be true? Probably not. But for her to come back and kind of have the fire lit under her, we were a little critical of her latest run in Impact, just for kind of not really bringing anything new to the table. I think this was a good fiery promo from her that kind of showed her emotional side and didn't show that she's just learned how to do promos in the early 2000s and kind of stuck with it there. I'm definitely excited to see what she does going forward. But yeah, there's a lot of question marks into how she necessarily picks up the roster because there's a lot of people like we just said, Killer Kelly and Masha, that kind of have that upward trajectory, and wouldn't it make sense right now to cut it off with them losing to Mickie James. So
yeah. After this would transition us right away into a Josh Alexander interview, which the first question that she asks is about Mickie James's statements. And he says, she represents Impact. She's like the greatest knockout of all time. She's synonymous with the divisions. And then Gia transitions it into, what happened last week with Eddie and all, like you never got to be able to say if you were joining him or agreed with him. He says he doesn't agree with how Honor No More has gone about their thing. Doesn't agree with a lot of what Eddie says. And yeah, he knows that like he wrestles a lot more than a champion might normally do, but it's because he wants to put Impact on his back. He wants to be the face of Impact. And then Eddie comes out. He tries to talk some sense into Josh in his own weird way, talking about how everything is planned by Impact and the backstage people. And you're silly if you don't think that Scott and the people backstage, the people in power, aren't working with Heath to attack him, and that they didn't plan for their segment to go off the rails because of Heath, which leads Heath to come out and start beating up on Eddie. And this was where the GOAT returned, Angelo.
yeah, Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah, he's back on Impact TV.
He's
baby.
back. This is definitely the first time he's been on television, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right. And it's 100% intentional. You could have had anyone else working backstage, been the person with D'Lo to kind of pull this apart. They put Tommy Dreamer out there to kind of reintroduce him to the audience again. Now, it's okay to put him on TV.
Yeah.
He'll try on TV again for you guys sometime soon. Don't worry. And within a couple of months, I'm sure we'll see him in a match.
Yeah. It will be a hardcore street fight.
It'll probably be a hardcore street fight where he's wearing polka dots. And it's probably a 50% chance it's against Moose. So.
Or Macklin.
Right. So.
And there's a 25% chance that he'll bleed.
Yeah. He's not as bad as some of the other nostalgic guys, the bleeding, but we are going to see Tommy Dreamer matches again soon. That was the soft introduction after some well-deserved time off after comments.
We're going to get Heath versus Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
At Bound for Glory.
Rhino versus Tommy Dreamer.
Oh. No, Rhino can't go, so it's now Heath and Tommy.
Yeah, that's fine. Heath and Tommy. Let's see
it. Scott gets involved and talks to Heath and says, I can't be like Eddie's the number one contender. I can't keep having you attack our number one contender and risk him getting injured. But I'll tell you what, you want to get your hands on Eddie next week. You guys can both go at it against each other. And Heath says he's happy about that, and then goes to talk to Josh and apologize for getting involved in their stuff. And Josh says, Eddie wasn't totally wrong. Yeah, you do try to silence him, and you silenced me and didn't let me say my piece. And he walked off, kind of blowing him off.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah. Alex Zayne versus Mascara Dorada.
Yeah, I guess before you even get into this match,
yes.
It's weird in the sense that it's showing Josh Alexander maybe like kind of siding with Honor No More there.
Yeah.
It's because he's like, Eddie Edwards did make a good point. He interrupted me before I could say something. And I'm sure this will lead to, Josh Alexander just telling off Eddie Edwards and the whole, this is BS. Like, you just wanted this title opportunity. But it gives that little bit of dissension that makes you a little intrigued, and shows that Josh is a multi-dimensional character. So I think it's good.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, I'm all Impact. Everything Impact does is perfect. He realizes that there's some flaws here, and maybe he does realize that there's some freedoms being taken. Like normally, you're not going to allow somebody to for over a month to just attack everybody that he wants without repercussions, and get involved in world title like stare downs and talking segments over and over again. So yeah. Yeah, so Alex Zayne versus Mascara Dorada. I hope I'm saying that right. Formerly known as Grand Metalik in WWE. The King of the Ropes, as this Titantron says. And we are told that this is going to determine who is the next in line for Mike Bailey's X Division title. I thought this was a really good match. The crowd was very hot for this match.
Oh, for sure. Crowd's always hot for the X Division talent. For the
Yeah.
most part, I would say, for X Division talent, especially two guys that, like, are pretty decent names known elsewhere. Come to the play here. So,
yeah. Alex Zayne always seems to connect with the fans. I think his star is just rising more and more. Especially like after the Best of Super Juniors run that he had in New Japan this year. He's been on both Ring of Honor pay-per-views this year as well.
That's true.
And
OGK production.
Yeah, and there's been reports that he is signed or going to sign with Ring of Honor at some point, along with Blake Christian. But yeah, this is a great way to show off your stuff on TV, connect with the crowd some more, and just have a fantastic match. He's again compared to when he first was showing up in Impact, before he went to WWE for a little bit for like a cup of coffee, basically. He has definitely evolved his style. He's bulked the fuck up. And he's not, again, based off the size, he's not your typical X Division guy, but his moveset definitely makes him that way. And then Mascara Dorado, he was fantastic in the Cruiserweight Classic. He had some good runs with the Lucha House Party. He was a
Would you
staple.
call that good?
Hey, man, some of their stuff was fun. I feel like this is a segment Pat should be talking about, since Pat was the 205 Live lover boy. Yeah, him and Jake loved 205 Live. So they could talk more about it, but Pat always swooned over Grand Metalik and said that he was fantastic. So this is good. It seems like he's starting to get some more footing and getting booked more often, at least in America. He's been on New Japan Strong, I believe, a few times now. He's working he worked GCW now on Impact and has an Impact title shot. So it definitely seems like his stock is rising again, which is good. Dorada would end up picking up the win here with the Dorada driver, I believe is what they called it. Looked cool. And yeah, I think it makes sense. He's making his debut. He's the bigger name, I think. Yeah, good stuff. After this, we get Mickie James and Jordynne Grace talking backstage, and Jordynne says, if you just come to me, I would have just given you a title shot, but I know that's not what you want. So I'm more focused on the outcome of the main event tonight. But once you feel like you've earned a shot, I'll definitely give it to you. Yeah. Then we get a video package for Yuya Uemura of New Japan. Will be making his Impact debut next week.
Is he young lion?
Yes, so he is a young lion. He's part of the actual like New Japan dojo, not like the LA dojo, the American dojo part. But he's he was part of the class. It was him, Yota Tsuji, and Gabe Kidd. Um, they basically got rushed through, not rushed through, but expedited through the New Japan system, like the dojo, because of the pandemic. Since they were there, they were always wrestling. Since like the guys from that lived in the U.S. or lived outside of Japan couldn't come. And out of the three, yeah, out of the three, Yamura really stood out, I think, the most. He then came over to the LA dojo for a bit. He's been working there. He's done some GCW stuff. He's been at the Blood Sports, and he's been doing the indies. I believe he was. He's done some AEW Dark, and I believe he was on Forbidden Door as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Match with QT because they had that.
Yes, yeah. It was part of the factory versus the LA dojo.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, he's been all over the place. I think
he seems like an ascending star.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He's super young too. I think he's like 23.
Right. Oh wow.
So yeah, I think this is huge. I also think it's interesting that this is like the first. It's very rare that you get like a video package for somebody who's like you don't get video packages for people who are just going to be there for a sip of coffee, at least.
That's
Most of
the case, yeah.
Like the people I can think of who got video packages: Giselle Shaw, who's still there; Killer Kelly, who seems like she's ascending.
I mean, you know what? The New Japan guys, they usually give like video packages. I would say like Ishii and
yeah.
Suzuki even got one, I think.
Yeah.
So
that's true. But like Aussie Open didn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think Finjuice even got one.
No.
Now I'm thinking about it.
Maybe the second iteration when they kind
of
but
so yeah, I'm interested since he's in America for a while, he has been in America for a while. I think this is more of a way for him to get established on some sort of television, get some wins,
just like
some people,
some character around himself.
Exactly,
right now, a lot of one-offs.
So. Yeah, so I'm really excited about this. I think this is a big coup for him to be coming to Impact for a bit. Yeah. After this would take us to our main event. It is Deonna Purrazzo versus Masha Slamovich, with the winner being Jordynne Grace's opponent at Bound for Glory.
Yes, sir.
Commentary again, talking about how Masha has never lost in Impact, even though, again, her and Deonna faced each other in Impact on a pay-per-view. But she wasn't signed. I know. But commentary was kind of acting like these two, at least at the beginning, had never wrestled each other before, even though they had. And then I think it was Matt Raywalt who was just like, all these two competitors know each other's moveset so well. And I was like, oh, okay. So we are kind of acknowledging that they've wrestled before and had a long match. But then he like followed it up with like after the first pinfall attempt, he was like, and this has gone 46 times longer than any Masha Slamovich match before.
Yeah. Well, again, yeah, they're using like recent history. I know like that was a recent match too. That was like what, November, October last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been since her established run and signing.
Yeah. This definitely was, I think, the best match that they've had of Masha, just again because it was longer. We got to see her offense. We got to see her looking like she could be in danger of losing at numerous points. Chelsea kept on getting involved to try to help Deonna out here, but multiple times Deonna was able to try to lock in submission moves, including the armbar, but Masha was able to get out of them. Chelsea distracted Masha towards the end of this match and allowed Deonna to hit the Queen's Gambit on her. But Masha kicked out at 2. And Masha would then take out Chelsea and take out Deonna and hit her with the snowplow for the win. And Masha Slamovich is officially the number one contender for the Knockouts Championship.
Yes, I'm not too surprised at that choice.
No.
But this rise went from lots of jobbers to now finally facing some talent, and now finally beating Deonna. That's a big win for her, and to now face Jordynne Grace at Bound for Glory. I don't know if we're gonna have a new champion on our hands then. What do you think?
I think it's the right time to pull the trigger and give Masha the title. I just think that they've invested so much into her. Like, she's been undefeated for almost a year now, basically. And I just feel like Jordynne has had a good run. Hasn't been super long.
But yeah, but this has been her second reign, so that's the
Right.
idea. Like she doesn't need to be holding it for too long. She's probably a transitional champ or some sort.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be a good run with it. I think.
I hope Masha gets some other matches though in between.
Yeah,
because this is like really the first one now where this is a match that Masha had where it was like actually like good back and forth.
Yes,
like it's a comparative, like I don't know. I guess the easy comparison is what Goldberg. So like Goldberg wasn't interesting for the non-casual wrestling fan until he started having like longer matches.
Yeah.
When you're just squashing people left and right, it's like, that's cool. I guess it's cool for kids and stuff. But as wrestling fans, you kind of want to see more wrestling. So hopefully that means maybe in the next like month or so we get like Mia Yim giving a good match with Masha, or maybe a Chelsea Green having a match with Masha. Like just something that like whets the palate and isn't just squashes.
Right.
To what's going to be the biggest match of her career. So.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I do hope that we get at least one or two more matches. I wouldn't be surprised if she has a match at Victory Road, just because it seems like they need matches for that.
Yeah, I would disagree. I think I would be surprised if they put her on Victory Road, unless they really buff something out next week where like Mia Yim gets offended and defends Jordynne Grace. I don't know. Like I don't really see her getting anything unless they like kind of build a storyline out of it, which I hope they do. So
yeah, it should be noted that Masha Slamovich, technically this won't be her first ever Impact title shot now, because last night Masha Slamovich was defeated in an Impact World Championship match against Josh Alexander. That went 17 minutes at AAW in Chicago.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yes. So
the Josh getting involved in some intergender wrestling. I like that.
Yeah, and for the Impact title.
Yeah.
It was an official title match.
Wow.
So
I wonder if Impact will. Well, I guess they could have recognized.
Yeah, they can't. They can't do this.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, I'm sure that was a fantastic match, just because both of them are very good. Yeah. So yeah, Jordynne would then come out at the end of the match and give Masha her own death warrant, to which Masha and Jordynne then started exchanging words. And yeah, kind of pumped up the intensity of this feud. So we've got basically a month and some change for them to keep on going. And I think this should be a really good feud going into Bound for Glory.
Yeah, I think I like it. And it's a little weird that like they kind of got to skip the pay-per-view in the middle.
Yes, I agree with that.
It's definitely going to be a really good match at Bound for Glory. And I think like Jordynne Grace has shown enough that she's going to make this an entertaining rivalry for the next month.
Yeah. Overall, I would give this a thumbs up episode.
I think I give this a thumbs up as well.
Yeah. Next week, we do have 3 matches announced. We have Taya Valkyrie versus Chelsea Green. We've got Eddie Edwards versus Heath. And we have Aussie Open versus Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Should be good stuff. I'm interested in all 3 of those matches. Don't know how long Aussie Open are going to be around for in Impact. I'm assuming this taping, obviously this taping But I'm interested to see if they're going to go longer because it does seem like they're going to need some tag teams, and they've already expressed interest in going for tag team gold.
Is there like technically not another tag team besides Crazy Steve and Tarus?
There's the Mercy Machine Guns.
Yeah.
There's
DVD.
Ace and Bay.
Yeah, so the other Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, that counts. Yeah.
Yeah. PCO and Vincent.
I guess.
Shira and Raj.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, the tag division is down bad.
Yeah, if you're naming Raj Singh, it's down bad. So yeah, any influx of talent is a good sign.
Yeah. So yeah, we will be back next week with another episode of the Impact Power Hour. Make sure to follow us on social media at Deep Six Wrestling on Twitter, the Deep Six Wrestling podcast on YouTube. Subscribe to that. We put the podcast up on there, but we also have our podcast on a plethora of different platforms. So subscribe to whatever one you want to watch or listen to, and make sure you leave a like, a comment, a rating, anything. All that jazz helps us out. And we like to talk to and try to hear what you guys like to think. So yeah, be sure to follow all our coverage of different stuff happening this weekend. We've got Rob's review of SmackDown, most likely coming out either tonight or tomorrow morning.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready for a good time?
Oh yeah. I can't hit the high notes like he can.
Yeah, a professional singer.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's doing a Clash at the Castle review for Saturday, but that's a thing. We've got Worlds Collide NXT and the NXT UK, the official ending of NXT UK on Sunday in the afternoon, and then All Out on Sunday night, which I'm assuming Pat will do a review. Pat and Joey will do a review at some point, either Sunday night or Monday morning or something. So yeah, be on the lookout for all the good stuff. And we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.